Yeah, because they have to do that. Our people don't.
What would a contract look like
Right.
of me? Let's use ownership of masters for an example, because that's the biggest elephant in the room.
Right.
How can I have ownership of your masters without we can both agree on something, and then 2 years down the line when you blow up and you look back at that agreement, will you harbor some sort of resentment, and what would that do for the relationship? And I'm just tired of fallouts and shit, man, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm really just in a lot of the agreements that I see people get into, it's shit that you would do for somebody anyway. You know what I mean? Like you opening up your resources to somebody. Yo, man, that's what you're fucking supposed to do, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a
Yeah.
part of it. You got to do that. You know what I mean? So I'm good, man. I get a fulfillment for whatever reason. Money loves me, man. Money follows me. I don't chase money. So I just can't imagine there being a time, and this is no knock to anybody, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine there being a time where I'm dangling my resources over somebody's head and saying, give me ownership of the masters, and then I help blow. I'm gonna help blow you up, and you know what I mean. Like
Right. Right.
I'm not ready for that.
How
Like,
can
if there's a scenario where it can be all business, then that's different.
right.
If it's just all business, but when you're talking about somebody that I fuck with and trying to build a relationship with, I'm gonna get the same fulfillment out of just watching them blow up.
How can we remedy that situation when it comes to the labels and the artists? Because we see a lot of independent artists doing their things. At the same token, you see a lot of artists still running to these labels to kind of run towards that dream that they think that would be fulfilled if they were to sign that contract. But you see so much dirty shit going on. And like you just said, you want to get into the executive role, but at what cost? You don't know if you're willing to risk that. How can we remedy that though? Because you were somebody that'd be very important to get into an executive role because you understand the artist and you are about the artist.
Yeah.
But we need that right now. So how can we find that balance and find a way to kind of remedy that situation?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't think anybody does, because
Mm-hmm.
there's just two parallel things happening. It's not unfair when it's just business. It only becomes unfair and non-artist friendly because it's not meant to be artist friendly on the label side.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what they're here for. That's not even their role. That's not their obligation. And then on the artist side, if me myself decide that I'm going to get somebody into an agreement, that person, especially if I'm building a relationship with that person is going to hold me to a standard because of who I am to them.
Right.
I'm a black man. I'm an artist myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm embracing somebody that's young who doesn't have all of the information, and they looking at me and saying, "Yo, you got the information, so I trust you." That's a different trust. You know what I mean? So even if I go sit in the artist seat, in those major label seats, the higher executive seats, and I start doing a bunch of artist friendly shit, if all the other labels aren't doing the artist friendly shit, then I'm just gonna get fired. You know. So what is the remedy? Like I don't think that there is one. I think it's I guess there are different remedies that are unique to each individual. Like for me, I feel like my remedy is what I'm exercising right now. My right to just be patient about it. You know what I mean, and not jump into it, because there's going to eventually be a day in the business where labels are going to be forced to do more artist friendly shit. I mean, it's just the kids, they just becoming more and more savvy. You know what I mean? They understanding the value of intellectual property prior to going in and talking to these labels. And in another generation or two, with the blockchain and everything, Web3, man, in order for labels to exist, they're gonna have to do artist friendly shit. You know what I mean? Maybe sometime down the line, when it gets to that point, maybe I'll consider taking on some type of a role like that. But it's hard for even somebody like me to accept a job or accept that kind of a job and still be kind of like preaching ownership. You know what I mean? Like, and building your own. You know what I mean? So I remember I was in the clubhouse room with Dame Dash before.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him something similar to what you guys just asked me. I said, yo, don't you think that some of us, guys that are like-minded, like myself and you, should be in some of these high level executive seats at these labels. You're like, what the fuck for? What the fuck for? Like, I don't want to. I'm building somebody else shit at that point. Look at my own shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like guys like Dame. They're so great because they see things that way. You know what I mean? Like they don't really see a whole bunch of multi-layered, multifaceted visions. Yo, it's almost like tunnel vision, but in a good way. You know what I mean? He sees it the way he sees it, and he is a super focused individual. You know what I mean? So I guess shit. Guys who think like him would be in the best position. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. Talk about you getting your masters back. I heard you talking about, you finally, getting the wherewithal to get those back. Talk about the process and being able to get them and how to properly utilize them.
Yeah. So it's a natural process. Like back in the day when I signed my first deals back in the day. I believe I signed like a five album deal or something like that. And the label maintained control of the master for like a 7-year period or something like that. I can't really remember what it was, but I just hit a point where I knew um, all agreements had been met. I was to a point where I could actually go back. I'm sure that it was like whole new staff up at certain labels, especially like Sony and Columbia and shit like that. E1. And we just went in there and got them. You know what I mean? Like sometimes some you could buy, some you can pull up the old agreement. Like it's a few different ways that you can go about doing it. With me, I had to go a few different ways. You know what I mean? Like I had to talk to a few different entities that I was in business with, and I just regained control of them. And when I dropped the Heaven Experience project, it was an interesting release for me because it wasn't a standard release. It's 15 songs. 11 of the 15 songs already were up on streaming platforms.
Okay.
So initially, with Kino and I, what our plan was to take the songs down, and then when we announced the date, we put them back up on the day that it comes out. We never even got a chance to do that. So so 11 of the songs were just already on streaming platforms.
Wow.
So four of the songs were songs that I had in the stash that I put on there to give people something new to go look at, something to be excited about, who've been following me for a minute, because I know it's been a minute since I released some music. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So when you look at something like that, and to answer your question about how to kind of utilize that, it's basically just if you look at it and whatever you see it existing as, and then from this date forward, now I control it. So whatever streams you see in addition to what was already there is all profit. You know what I mean? Because it's all profit. And I kind of want the youngins to kind of look at the master kind of like that. Just look at it like a digital asset. It's something that even if it's not streaming a whole lot, and I'm talking about song for song, even if each song isn't streaming like a crazy amount, just look at it like a revenue stream, because all of that shit adds up. And the labels are playing the game on lots of different levels, not just the largest level that you see. It's more to money being generated in streaming than just Drake and Eminem. You know what I'm saying? Like a company like Empire, they have like a huge catalog of just records streaming. You know what I mean? From small to mid-size to, and when they all add up, it turns into a lot of revenue. So it's very, very, very important that young artists understand that it's time to play the catalog game now.